Shalom. I want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, and Bahashem Harakal Kadash. Double honors goes to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And a sincere shalom goes to the elect Akim out here that's pushing this truth in all four corners in truth and sincerity. As you can see, I'm going into this article. Basically, this article is going in on slavery, and it's talking about the slavery of the Israelites. But I'm not going to really go too in depth about what this article. I'm just going to hit a couple points. I'm just going I'm just going to drop Deuteronomy chapter 28. Maybe from 15 on down. I might start at 1 and then just jump to 15 because there's a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, whoever see this, they should read the article, because the article's basically going in and telling you about slavery and basically how generational wealth became what it is through slavery. Like, you know, like the Israelites said it all along. The teachers of Great Millstone, we've been saying all along through our apostles and elders on down that that's where generational wealth come from, through slave trade, and that's where the original stock market started from, through slave trade. You know, Baltimore has a history. Well, Maryland has a history with a huge history with slavery. Being as though Maryland is a southern state, we have a market here in Baltimore City that's called the world famous Lexington Market, and it's called the world famous Lexington Market. Actually, it's been upgraded right now. They ain't turning it down because it's world famous, and the reason it's a world famous Lexington Market is because we got a port, and it's called the Inner Harbor. The slaves were brought in from the Inner Harbor and had to march from the harbor to the world famous Lexington Market, where they had the auction block. That's where they auctioned slaves at. That was a marketplace where they auctioned off the slaves. But I'm gonna go a little bit into this article. And again, you should read the article for yourself. The Baltimore Sun, unraveling the harmful myths that perpetuate slavery, by K. Ward Cummins, and it was in the today's paper. It goes to say, much has been written about how hard it was to be enslaved in America, but comparatively little has been said about the demands of enslaving others. No one writes about how physically and mentally exhausting owning people could be, and the energy devoted to self-delusion, all the psychological tap dance and the intellectual gymnastics needed to justify holding a fellow human being in lifetime bondage. You know, a lot of people is going to go in and say, well, here we go. The burden was eased somewhat if a Bible was close at hand. The Old Testament story of Ham's children being cursed with black skin and a lifetime of servitude was popular subject at the planter's dinner table. But then a certain amount of pneumatic shoehorning must have been needed to make this story properly fit. Well, you know, that right there is going off because you can say what you want about Ham, but in the Bible, everybody back in times had was dark people of color. the curse of Cain, came, and that's leprosy, and I can go into that. Matter of fact, say prove all things, and that's what I'm gonna do. So bear with me 1 second. Bear with me 1 second. Salakia. I wasn't planning on this, but that's what the spirit. That's the way the spirit took me. Numbers 12. All right. Salakia. I'm gonna get back to the article, but you're supposed to prove all things. All right. And, this is Numbers 12:1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married. For he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said, have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken also by us? So they was basically sitting up there questioning the Lord and how he do things. You know, they sitting up there like niggas do when they want to be important, and certain things not going how they want to do. They was basically talking trash. Now continuing on verse 3. Now the man Moses was very meek above all men, which were upon the face of the earth. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and to Miriam, which was what the Lord shows you that the Lord dealing with the men. He was dealing with Moses, but he spoke to Aaron and he spoke to Miriam. So that's order right there. He spoke to the men first. Come out ye into the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known unto him in vision, and I will speak it to him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently and not in the dark. Speeches and similitude of the Lord shall be behold. Wherefore then ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses. So like I said, he was talking trash against Moses. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against them, and he departed. And a cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord. So he got an order once he seen Miriam jacked up. You know, he was scared. And Aaron said unto Moses, alas, my Lord, I beseech thee, lay not this sin upon us, where we have done foolishly, and where we have sinned. Let her not be as one did. So that's showing she had that leper. She looked like she was dead, like it was no life in her. She was pale. Of whom the flesh have consumed when he have come out of his mother's womb. Like, you know, when babies come out, they had that stuff over them, they be looking white. And Moses cried unto the Lord, saying, heal her now, O God, I beseech thee. And the Lord said unto Moses, if our father had spit in her face, should she not be ashamed for 7 days? Let her, Salaki, let her be shut out of the camp 7 days, and after that, let her be received again. So she had to be punished, man. Just like for her going off, she had to be punished. Just like the Israelites were punished for not hearkening to the word of the Lord, man. That's where slavery came from, and that's going to be proved in later on in this video, Deuteronomy 28. But yeah, back to this paragraph. The burden was eased somewhat if a Bible was close to hand. The Old Testament story of Ham's children being cursed with black skin. Again, I want to show you and prove to you that everybody back in those times had to been dark skinned, because that's just going to show you that's off right there. And nobody's skin is black. I never seen a black person in my life. They skin brown, or dark shade of brown. Salaki, I'm going to just read the paragraph again. The burden was eased somewhat, the Bible was close at hand. The Old Testament story of Ham's children being cursed with black skin and a lifetime of servitude was popular subject at the planter's dinner table. But even then, a certain amount of pneumatic shoehorning must have been needed to making this story fit properly. Yeah, they set up there played mind games. Other justifications for slavery including beliefs that Africans were of a subhuman species, one step above from livestock, and thus predestined for a life in the yoke. But the Bible said that's going to happen, and I'm gonna get into that. Remember that yoke. I'm gonna go into the yoke of on. Some convinced themselves that bonding actually helped the enslaved by giving their lives purpose and structure. But the heavy intellectual speed work was reserved for those subjects unsuited to discussion in a mixed company like slave breeding. 2 centuries later, and we're still unraveling all the myths and lies fabricated about African Americans, which is, you can't be there's no such thing as an African American, because African and American, because that's two different places, two different continents, you know. So how you gonna be African and American? To justify breeding a slave for profit. Salakia. Most Americans have no idea that slave breeding was once a booming business. A lot of people don't know that. In the U.S. in the 18th and 19th centuries, black bodies were the equivalent to starter homes and were one of the surest ways of building generational wealth. There we go with that generational wealth. You know, people of color, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, they don't have generational wealth. Generational wealth, let's look up that word, generational wealth. So what is generational wealth? It's basically wealth that is passed down from one generation to the next. You may also hear of this called family wealth or legacy wealth. This wealth can come from many forms such as real estate, assets, stock market, investments, financial education to carry forward the future. Now, as you can remember earlier when I was talking about Lexington Market, I was saying slaves were the original form of the stock market. And that article said slave trade and basically started generational wealth. You know, continuing on, particularly as a consequence, the African American population exploded in the 1908, the year that the U.S. banned international slave trade. The number of enslaved Africans were less than 1 million, but 52 years later, by 1860, it had quadrupled, and what some scientists believe pushed the limits of human reproduction. Planners created myths that explosive growth was a result of hypersexual habits of the enslaved, but given stresses of bondage and associating high infant mortality rates such as reproductive could not have occurred without concern. Yeah, that go to show you that, like I said earlier in this article, that they looked at the Israelites as a step up from being an animal, from a horse or anything like that, anything else. Basically, they were sitting up there breeding Israelites for cheap labor. They was breeding them for generational wealth, but they wanted to build flocks of slaves up for free labor and sex slaves and things of that nature. You know, that's what the so-called white man was doing, aka the devil. And that word devil means a deceiver. They use the Bible, which is the Israelites' book, because that's who the Lord dealing with, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and turned it against us. But with that being said, you can finish that up yourself, the article yourself. But a lot of things in this chapter is heavy. You know, we can go other chapters, but this was one chapter that let me realize that this was the truth. And at a young age, I was always thinking that, you know, so-called blacks are cursed as people, and we are. But a lot of people the church don't teach you this. The black churches in the hood don't teach you this. Only way you learn this is from the teachers of Israelites. I mean, the teachers of the apostles and the elders of GMS. But you got other Israelite groups that teach this as well. But the 100% truth is coming from GMS. Looking up of words and everything, you know. But let me go into this. This is Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee on this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations. And that's talking about the Israelites. All you had to do was sit up there and hearken to the word of the Lord diligently. Do right by the Lord. Don't put nobody in front of the Lord. Hearken to the word of the Lord. The Lord commanded you. This is basically this what the Lord wants you to do. He said he would set you high above all nations, but we ain't do that. Verse 1 through 14, these are the blessings. But we, the blacks, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, didn't do this. So that's why we curse. Now let me go down to verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all of his commandments. See, that's our problem as people. We want to do what we want to do, you know. We want to believe in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and not take on this whole loaf. When you take on this whole loaf, you got to eat the heel, the inside, everything of the bread, man. You gotta take it all on. This verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Now, I'm just going to touch some of the stuff that's dealing with slavery, you know. Let's go to verse 20. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hand unto. Salakia, the Lord shall send upon thee curses, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thy hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness doings whereby thou hast forsaken me. Yeah, man, the Lord sitting up here, he taking niggas out, man. He sending vexation and rebuke, man. We constantly being vexed and rebuked because we supposed to be over all these nations, man. He sending that vexation. We constantly getting rebuked for not hearkening to the word of the Lord. That's why that's happening, because we forsake the Lord, man. We ain't taking the Lord serious. You got some people say they love the Lord, but they loving the Lord for the wrong reason. They loving the Lord for what they can get out of it, not because that's what they should be doing, man. You supposed to love the Lord with all your heart, man. Verse 21, the Lord shall make pestilence cleave unto thee, until thou hast consumed thee from off the land where thou goest to possess it. Hey, yeah, I really don't need to break that down, but that's not really what I wanted. Hey, here we go. Verse 25, the Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thy enemies. Hey, we out here in these towns, these cities, this land, being smitten before our enemies. We being smitten by each other and by our enemies in front of them. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. Yeah, that's happening, man. That's happening. Lord. Verse 28, the Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness, man. A lot of Israelites out here, they smite with madness and blindness, and they sitting up there thinking, wanting this world to go on. They blind to what's going on. They don't even know that we are almost out of this place, man. They sitting up here thinking this place is gonna go on forever. Madness. All this the ABC people. You could do what you want. You could be what you want. Praying to other gods, man. It's complete madness, spiritual fornication, man. Hey, and this go perfect with slavery right here. Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and betroth. That mean Let's look up what betroth mean according to the scriptures. Betroth, engage, to betroth, engage. There you go. Thou shalt be engaged to a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather grapes thereof. Ain't that slavery right there? You sit up there and you got a wife, and that's your wife, that's your possession. And Master Jim can just sit up there and just take her, or he can put her make her have sex with another slave. Man, that's off, man. That's off, but that's also saying the scripture saying that's those things happen because we ain't hearkening to the words of the Lord. How many times don't you see Israelites build houses and not dwell in it? Man, we built this country, man. We built up a lot of stuff, and we ain't dwelling in it, man. Planting vineyards and not even, and it shall not gather the grapes thereof. Let's go to verse 32. Thy sons and daughters shall be given it to another people, and their eyes shall look and fare with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in their hand, in thy hand. And what is that? We seen this so many times on Roots, on Mandingo. Them slaves had babies, man. As soon as they have them, they take them away from them, man. They take them away from them. Now that stuff still going on today. Hold up. I think it's 38 I'm looking for. Nah. It might be 48. I mean, it's a lot of meat in here, man. Yeah, there we go. And then that's going into that yoke when I was talking about that yoke earlier. This Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in wanting of all things. And he shall put a yoke on upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And that's what they did through slavery. And right now in the times we're still in slavery, but it's not a physical yoke. It's a mental mental yoke. Shit. You can't. This ain't our place, man. You can't even prosper here. Here it is. This is a testimony about me. Shit. I got a bank account. I've been with this bank since I had this job for 20 years. And they changed the cards over or something. Said I had to open up a checking account. I had a savings account. I applied for instead of them just giving me a checking account, they made me apply for the checking account. And they said they couldn't give me a checking account because I have a debt and collections, man. Here it is, they get my check before I get my check. And I can't even get a damn checking account so I can use my card to pay my bills. Is that not a mental yoke? Is that not a mental yoke? It's a mental yoke. If you sit up there and apply for what is that for? An apartment, a car, anything. They asking you your ethnicity. They asking you who your parents is, because they review all that stuff. What's your nationality and all that? You tell them, and they got a bias system that approve you and deny you because of your ethnicity. If you're a certain race, they probably have it like you more prone not to pay that loan off, or you don't need, they don't want you in that what that had to do with anything though. You renting an apartment or getting a car loan or anything, a house mortgage. That ain't nothing but a yoke, man. That's that modern day yoke. Man, I probably just ended on 68. Well, I'm gonna end it on 68 because I was kind of going long. And this the one hitter quitter right here. This Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Now we know that we was in Egypt when Moses delivered us from the Egyptians, you know. But it said we will be brought into Egypt again. Now, have we been brought into Egypt again? Yes. America's Egypt. The word Egypt means bondage, and that's where we in. And it said Egypt again with ships. The Israelites were scattered all across the world, not just in America. You got in Jamaica, the West Indies, Portugal, and slave ships. By the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt not see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies. Sold unto our enemies, going back to slavery, that slave trade. For bond men and bond women. Bondage men and bondage women. And no man shall buy you. Amen. So I know it might have been a little bit too much meat for you, but hey, that go to show you. Hopefully I was edified. I edified to show you that, you know, that's to show you why we was in slavery, and to prove to you that about the generational wealth of the Edomites and all that stuff, and it go to show you why they got stuff and we don't, because we was used to build a generational wealth, and they still building. But like the scriptures say, the older shall serve the younger, and we know that Esau, the so-called white man, is going to serve Jacob, the Israelite man, and that time ain't come yet. Like the scriptures say, Esau is the beginning of the world, and Jacob is there at the. Hopefully I ain't jack it up that much. I might have butchered the scripture a little bit, but I'm gonna end it on that note. Hopefully this was edifying. This video was edifying. Shalom.